Good afternoon and happy Tuesday. Meteorologist Aaron White here in the 10 Weather Impact Center for another edition of our 10 Weather Impact Show. And we are tracking some pretty quiet conditions today. We got the sunshine to enjoy. Temperatures are up in the 50s right now. We should get to around 60, but we are tracking our next weather maker that's going to arrive. Going to bring us some rain here going into Wednesday and Thursday. And we're also keeping tabs on Hurricane Melissa that just made landfall in Jamaica as a powerful Category 5 storm. So we'll get you an update on that coming up here in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and dive into our 10 weather impact forecast because we have a 10 weather impact alert here for Thursday as we're tracking that rain, breezy conditions, and some chilly temperatures as well. And the rain's going to have an impact on the morning commute. Likely going to be some ponding on the roadways. Could lead to some delays here, so just keep that in mind here for your Thursday morning, but also for the evening because a lot of communities here in the metro are actually partaking in trick-or-treating a day early, so the rain could have an impact on that. Does look like a lot of the rain's going to clear out just in time, but keep in mind it is still going to be a bit damp here even for Thursday evening. Despite the rain tapering off, still looking at some wet conditions out there. Temperatures are going to be chilly, and there's going to be a bit of a breeze here for Thursday, making it feel even colder here as we go through the day. Now, we are tracking again this weather maker that's going to bring quite a bit of rainfall here across Ohio. And some areas still dealing with the drought conditions, so this is going to be some welcome rain, and we'll have to be watching how much rainfall does fall across the area. Don't really think there's going to be an issue with flash flooding, but it will be something we'll have to watch. Now, as we look live right now at downtown, the sun is shining. It's a really nice afternoon with clear skies and temperatures up into the 50s. There's a little bit of a breeze, so making it feel just a tad cooler, but we are now up to 57 here. And should be around 59, maybe hitting 60 here for a high temperature today. Now, over the course of the next several hours, eventually we will be cooling down. Once the sun goes down, our temperatures will start to drop quickly back down into the 40s here for tonight. Not going to be overly cold. We're not talking about freezing temperatures, but chilly down into the 40s with a clear sky. And then eventually the cloud cover will start to roll in here going into the day tomorrow ahead of that system that will bring the rain later in the day. So actually most of tomorrow should be dry. I would say after about 4, maybe after 5 p.m. tomorrow, that's when the rain's going to start to build in, especially around Columbus and further to the north. Areas to the south could actually see the rain a little bit sooner, as early as about noon for Waverly, Chillicothe, MacArthur, and even Jackson. And we'll see that here on the hour-by-hour forecast in just a moment. But meanwhile, as we look at the satellite picture, we're tracking clear skies here across central Ohio, making for a nice afternoon. But as we zoom things out, a lot of things happening actually. We have one system that's bringing quite a bit of rainfall there across the Carolinas into southern Virginia. That's staying away from us, but this one is our next weather maker. That area of low pressure over Kansas right now, already kicking some rain up into Minnesota, Iowa, through Kansas, down into parts of Arkansas. That's going to continue to build to the east as we go through this evening into tomorrow, and it'll start to spread the cloud cover in and eventually the rain. So as we look at that here on the hour-by-hour forecast for this evening, clear skies are expected, maybe just a few passing clouds, but watch what happens as we get into Wednesday. Here we are at 7 a.m. We're starting to see that cloud cover building in from the south and west, and that will continue through the morning. And notice we could see a couple showers here for areas south of I-70 going through the morning hours and even here around midday. We're here at noon on Wednesday. A few light rain showers, not a lot going to be happening around midday tomorrow, but as we go through time here, going into the later afternoon, and here we are at 5 p.m., starting to see a little bit more widespread rain building in from the south. So likely going to see that rain for Athens, MacArthur, Jackson, Piketon, over to Chillicothe, up to Lancaster, and then after 5 p.m. continues to overspread the area. So by 10 p.m., everyone getting the rain and maybe some moderate rainfall where we have that yellow showing up around Logan to Lancaster, New Lexington, Athens, down to Jackson, perhaps even all the way up into Columbus. And again, some moderate rainfall could lead to some decent amounts as we go through Wednesday night into Thursday. As we continue through the overnight hours, a lot of the heavier rain staying near and east of I-71. And then by Thursday morning, we start to get some drier air mixing into the system. That's going to cut down on some of the rainfall, but then as that system rotates around on the backside, we get another round of rain through the later morning and into the afternoon. And The timing is going to be crucial with this because, of course, trick-or-treating happening for many communities on Thursday evening. And here we are at 6 p.m. and still seeing some rain showers around Columbus. But this is about the time when it's going to gradually start to taper off. So if it happens maybe an hour earlier, maybe it won't be raining during the evening. It'll still be wet, it'll still be breezy, it'll still be cold, so just keep that in mind. Still damp conditions are expected whether or not it is actively raining, but I do not forecast or do not anticipate any heavy rainfall happening during the evening. If anything, just some light rain showers passing through, so trick-or-treating, not ideal, but not the worst. So just keep that in mind, but it will be damp, it'll be chilly, temperatures only in the 40s here for the evening. Now, as we talk about rainfall, decent amounts are expected here across central Ohio, over a half an inch for pretty much everyone through Wednesday and Thursday. And areas, like I mentioned, where we have that yellow, that moderate rainfall showing up east of I-71, an inch, maybe up to 2 inches of rainfall, not out of the question. And these are for some areas that are already out of the drought conditions. It would be nicer to see this further to the northwest across northwestern Ohio, where they still have severe to extreme drought conditions. But even for areas where we have dry conditions right now, some rain is good, and this will, it's going to help things along as we go through the course of the next week. But after Thursday, we are tracking drier conditions going into our Friday for Halloween. Temperatures back to the lower 50s, and actually that is cooler than normal for this time of year. Our average high temperature on the last day of October for Halloween is 59 degrees, and that's about where we will be today. So temperatures are going to be running near to below normal as we go through the next few days of October and going into early November here. For the first weekend of November, we have mid-50s in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, and we are tracking the chance for some scattered showers going into our Sunday, and maybe likely a better chance coming in here for Monday. So we will have to watch for that. But overall, it does appear like most of the weekend is going to be dry. Right now, Sunday's chance is only about 30%. So overall, nothing too wild. Not going to be a washout here for Sunday, but Monday into Tuesday of the following week, looking at some better chances for a little bit of rainfall here across the area. So we are going to be watching that. But we're also keeping an eye on the tropics here this afternoon. And as we keep an eye on the tropics, this is a satellite picture from earlier today. You can see the eye of Hurricane Melissa. Very powerful storm that has really maxed out almost here today, as we've seen winds maxing out at 185 miles per hour. The minimum pressure, this is another measurement of how strong a hurricane can become or is, was actually down to 892 millibars, and just for comparison, that's actually stronger than Hurricane Katrina was at its strongest point even before it made landfall. So a powerful hurricane, and this is a look at the latest picture right now as it has made landfall in Jamaica here as, again, a Category 5 hurricane. This is the first Category 5 hurricane in recorded history to make landfall in Jamaica. And as I mentioned, winds were maxed out at 185 miles per hour, a powerful storm that is still impacting the island. And it's not even just the wind here today. It's also the torrential rainfall that the island of Jamaica is getting with this storm. And all that rain leading to flooding, a lot of that rain falling in some of the higher elevations, that could actually lead to some landslides here as we go through about the next 24 hours. So major catastrophic impacts are being felt here today in Jamaica. Which is, of course, very unfortunate news that it did make landfall there. And this is the track of it now moving at about 8 miles per hour to the north-northeast. And winds have come down a little bit, down to 165 miles per hour. But still, that is a Category 5 storm. And gusts have been recorded over 200 miles per hour here over the last couple of days. And you notice that pressure down to 899 millibars. So that is an indication, because it made landfall, it's interacting with the land. It's actually starting to weaken just a little, but not by much. It is still a powerful Category 5 storm. And as it departs Jamaica here later on this evening into tonight, it is going to make another landfall in Cuba as a Category 4 storm. And that's going to bring more significant impacts to Cuba in terms of the wind, storm surge and flooding. And also the thing to keep in mind, like I mentioned with Jamaica, there are some higher elevations in Cuba, some mountainous areas, and all that rain that's going to fall in the mountains, it's going to come down the mountains, and that could actually trigger some landslides there as well. So very concerning situations happening there in Jamaica and Cuba here for the next 24 hours. It will continue to weaken, still a major hurricane as it impacts the Turks and Caicos Islands and the southern Bahamas going into Wednesday. And then eventually it will start to pick up some speed, but it could also still have some more impacts even around Bermuda as we get towards the end of the week. So a lot of things happening again with Hurricane Melissa here today. Again, this is a look at the current satellite picture, again making landfall here just around noon Eastern Daylight Time there on the southwest part of the island of Jamaica, and really bringing impacts all across the country. Some of the worst impacts again being felt there right around where it's making landfall here, and still going to see those impacts continue for at least the next 12 to 24 hours before things will start to improve, of course, once the storm exits the region, and looking at some better conditions. But again, with that landfall in Jamaica, it is going to take a very long time for them to recover, as again, this is the first Category 5 storm to make landfall there in the country of Jamaica in recorded history, with weather records for hurricanes going back into the 1800s. So this is also something I wanted to mention too about the storm, that it is now one of the strongest hurricanes on record in the Atlantic Ocean. And actually, in terms of the wind speed, it is tied for second place with 185 mile per hour maximum sustained winds. In terms of the pressure, it actually reaches third place for the strongest hurricane on record in the Atlantic Ocean. There have been some stronger ones in the Pacific Ocean, but still just in a very unfortunate situation taking place there in Jamaica and Cuba later on tonight. Now, finally today, we're going to switch things up and check out some new video. And some of this is actually from the hurricane, and actually from areas around Jamaica. And check this out. This is actually the hurricane hunters flying into the eye of Hurricane Melissa just in the last 24 hours. The hurricane hunters, the Air Force Reserve crew from the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, known as the Hurricane Hunters, flying through Melissa just yesterday. This video taken by Lieutenant Colonel Mark Withy, a navigator with the 53rd, and they actually were passing through the eye of the storm. Of course, the hurricane hunters going through these hurricanes to collect data. They are the ones that are measuring the storm. They are dropping instruments to actually measure the maximum winds. They are measuring the central pressure. So when I mentioned how strong those winds were, up to 185 miles per hour, they are the ones that are flying into the hurricane to get that data and send it back, so that meteorologists, forecasters that are tracking the hurricane or any other hurricanes or any storms can have an idea of what the conditions are like and how the track of the storm may be shifting in the next few hours. So a lot of things happening there, but a really wild sight to see from within the hurricane there, that stadium effect, as it's been referred to, with the clouds circling around the eye of the storm with a clear view of blue skies, as in the eye of the hurricane. It is clear, it is calm, but once you go into that cloud cover, that's where the intense winds are felt, with winds up to 185 miles per hour being recorded here earlier today. Now, also another video, this one actually from the Kingston area in Jamaica. You can see the harbor there, the strong winds and very heavy rainfall, and just notice the waves really kicking up there with the storm surge and just the strong winds that are being felt there across the entire island. And some of the worst conditions, again, are being felt on the western side of Jamaica. Again, Hurricane Melissa making landfall as a Category 5 storm, and likely this is going to be the worst on record for the island of Jamaica. And there's already been a few deaths blamed because of the hurricane here over the last couple of days in Jamaica, in the Dominican Republic, and even in parts of Haiti, as they were feeling some storm surge before the hurricane even made landfall today in Jamaica. The hurricane's been sitting off the coast or off Jamaica for a couple of days now, really just developing even since Friday, as it was a tropical storm, then became a hurricane over the weekend, and then reached that Category 5 strength back on Sunday, or actually into Monday morning, and still remains a powerful Category 5 storm. So this is going to be something to follow here for the next couple of days, and we'll be tracking it for you here on 10 TV, but also keeping an eye on our forecast locally as things again are a lot quieter here today with the sunshine, but we are keeping tabs on that rain coming in here going into tomorrow evening and for your Thursday. So that'll do it for us here today on 10 TV Plus for another edition of our Weather Impact Show. Coming up later on this evening, Chief Meteorologist Aaron White will be in with the latest on the rain and how much we can see here across central Ohio. So until then, you can always catch more news and weather online, as always, at 10tv.com.